and it's an international concern. A lot of the research that looks at the needs of international students to be integrated comes from Australia and universities all over the world. And in addition, we have a particular agenda in the UK where there's a huge concern about the lack of student mobility, where students from the UK are the lowest of students who travel abroad for any sort of education, work placement, internship or study. And so there are two aspects to this, and how Krasi is going to talk to us today about how we at Sheffield Hallam, particularly through the International Student Support Team, which Krasi is the manager of, has resolved some of these issues, but obviously there are many more things that could be done. Okay, so thank you, Krasi.
Hello everybody. As Viv just introduced me, I'm Krasi Teneva. I'm the International Student Support Manager in the university. I have volunteered to contribute this session. Viv volunteered me to come and talk to you and tell you more about the work that we do for students in the university to help them internationalize and develop their global skills and their global outlook. Now, talking about internationalization, you'll be aware that the different universities have got different strategies of internationalizing. And in some universities it will be more about just recruiting more and more international students, bringing them on campus and then just seeing what happens. Eventually they graduate, they leave. It doesn't change the institution that much. For the purposes of the discussion today, I want us to talk about the student-centered internationalization. So it's a strategy which is focused on the student and developing the student, ensuring that they acquire the understanding of the global context, other cultures, and they develop their global skills. Now, you may wonder why the International Student Support Team is interested in an internationalized university, internationalized curriculum. It's in a way a purely selfish interest. Obviously we're here to support the international students, and we know that international students who are integrated really well achieve better academically. They've got better experience in the university, so we will have done our job better. And international students can't integrate if the UK students haven't got the global outlook and the global skills to be able to accept the difference and work with international students. In terms of where we are at Sheffield Hallam University, we've invested time and resource and money very significantly for the last 9 years in creating a successful integration offer for international students. We run an annual program of events. We've got the Conversation Club, we've got Global Friends, we've got a range of other projects I'll tell you more a bit later. And yet, our international student satisfaction with the social integration aspect of their experience is very low. We're in the bottom quartile of the student barometer in the last wave in autumn 2013. So obviously something isn't working, something isn't happening for our students. Last year, actually nearly 2 years ago now, we did a value impact evaluation of our social integration work. And part of the research project was about international students' expectations before they come to the UK. So we were trying to establish whether we're over-promising and under-delivering, or there's something that forms the international students' expectations, and then we're not able to deliver because of the profile of the university and the type of courses we run. Now, when we asked them what they expected to happen and where they expected to meet UK students and other international students when they came to study at Sheffield Hallam University, you'll see that 85% of international students said that they expect to study alongside UK students on their course. See, they say they expect to meet students, UK students on their course, and the same kind of applies for other international students. So international students, when they arrive, they expect that they will be in a truly international environment, and they will be studying alongside other international students and UK students? Well, obviously in some cases, well, maybe in most cases we can't deliver that because the majority of our international students are postgraduate students. Some are clustered in monocultural courses, and it's very few really that get to study in a mixed intercultural environment, truly mixed intercultural courses. Again, when we ask the students why they think that they're not integrated that well with the UK students, there's some there were some concerns about the cultural differences. They perceive UK students as unfriendly, very reserved. There was some concerns about international students and UK students not having the social confidence to develop these meaningful relationships with students of another nationality, of a different culture. And some international students obviously wanted a lot more help. They wanted this integration with UK peers to be enabled at course level. Again, the message that they want to study alongside their UK peers. And when we asked them how we thought we could improve integration, they had some wonderful ideas about giving free university places to UK postgraduate students. But then, look at this one. Even they identified that we need to do a lot more as a university to promote the benefits of working with people from a different culture to UK students. And also they had some ideas about how the courses might be managed to facilitate that. But there aren't easy solutions. Simply mixing the students together, or clustering international UK students in one course will not necessarily mean that they will integrate. There will be more that we have to do, so there will be more work that the academics on the course will have to do for the integration to take place. The students need to demonstrate a level of cultural openness for the conversations to start taking place, and then they need to be put in the right conditions. This is actually research, and I've provided the information at the end of the presentation if you want to read more about this. If the students perceive themselves as being in the same boat, so they experiencing the same issues, the same problems, integration is easier to be established, and that should be supported by the academics within the course by giving them common goals. So everybody in the classroom should have common goals that they can feel they share the same problems, they can start talking to each other more. There's something about threats as well in the communication between UK and international students. We've heard it before. We've heard UK students complaining that they don't want to be grouped with international students because that will affect their marks. And the same, in a way, applies for international students. They feel threatened in a different way. So what I've organised here is UK students worry that they'll get lower marks if they are put in an assignment, kind of group assignment, working with with international students. There's something about their self-esteem. We always say that the international students are high achievers. They've travelled across continents, they've come here. That means something to the UK students. So they might feel a little bit threatened. They may feel they're in some ways deficient because they haven't done all of this. They're not trying to do a master's or an undergraduate course in a different language. So there's something about them feeling they might be being judged by the international students. Comfort levels. Nobody likes that much to be outside of their comfort zone, and that applies to UK students much more, because they don't have to make that effort to try and establish peer support networks in the same way that UK students must do when they come here. Sorry, international students must do when they come here. There's something about the threat to their social competence, the worry that they might be rejected if they try to establish a conversation with what looks like an impenetrable group of international students, and something about their identity and what they are, the fear that they may look uncool if they are fraternizing with somebody from a different culture. And if you transfer that to the international students, they've got their own set of fears and threats. But the thing about the social competence and the language, being very shy, not wanting to appear stupid or deficient if they can't express themselves that well in English. The fear of being misinterpreted, misconstrued in a social situations, because of course they haven't got the cultural context that UK students will have. They haven't got the cultural references. And also, this is quite strong as well, being ostracized by their own cultural group for attempting to go outside it and seek a friendship or seek integration with people from a different nationality. There's quite a lot of this as well, fear of rejection, and that's why they talk about UK students being reserved and not wanting to talk to them. So there's something about them being rejected and the fear of prejudice. So for integration to happen meaningfully, we have to work with both sets of students to eliminate these perceptions and the threats that there are, and it's a difficult task. So we need to offer support for both international and UK students, and I believe this is where we were getting it wrong until now, because all the support that we provide through my team is for the international students. There's very little done across the university for UK students, and we need to change that. And we need to, as a university again, we need to try to have an integrated approach to integration, and to try and encourage students to integrate in all aspects of their lives. So it's not about extracurricular activities only. Let's see what can happen as part of the course. Now then, there are some examples from Sheffield Hallam University of work done in different courses where the course leader has changed the course curriculum in a way to encourage the UK students to include international students in their coursework. I will tell you a little bit about some of them. Viv will be able to contribute to some others. In international hospitality and in applying physiotherapy, in both those courses, they're quite different, because the international hospitality, it's a mixed course, but they've got, I think, an equal number of UK and international students. Now, what they did on this course is design a new assessment, which is around organising international celebrations. So the course leader in that particular one created this assignment, which is about group work. Students must get into group, they must select an international celebration, and then they must appoint experts from the student community. So celebrations I've been to, obviously the Chinese New Year, but the Russian Maslenitsa festival, some weird and wonderful festivals from around the world. So what the students do, they get together, select a topic, a celebration, they then must recruit the experts from the student community, and they work as a group, finding out about the country, how they celebrate that particular event, and then they deliver the event in the university. It works on I suppose on several levels. It does enforce kind of integrate communication at course level, because they have to work in a multicultural group, and in order to deliver the event successfully, they must learn something about the culture of where this event comes from, of the country where this event comes from. And they work together, they got a common goal, okay, they must deliver on this event, and they work together over a period of time. So I think all the elements are there for successful integration to take place. In international business, we work differently with this group of courses, and what we do there is that course is actually predominantly international. So what we do with that course is international student support, so the staff will go and support the course lecturers to design ice-breaking activities which will help the students share more about each other and learn more about each other in the first couple weeks of term. So we go in, deliver, so we're given a session, we go and deliver, and the aim there is really to enable all international students to start talking to each other more instead of staying locked in their cultural groups. Do we want it to be different? Do we want UK students to go in instead of UK members of staff? Yes, we do. But this is what we've managed to do with that group of courses. In technical architecture, they are, again, they've changed the way they assess students to remove the threat that there is if students work in a multicultural group. And they do encourage students to be grouped with other students of the other nationality, and to remove, I suppose, to give everybody the equal chance of success. The task that they've designed involves a presentation, but in order to remove the stress that is there if you've got somebody whose English isn't that fluent delivering a presentation, they've allowed the groups to produce a recorded presentation, which is then given to the course as part of their lesson, and I think that works quite well for them. The primary education, it's another example of where international students are used as experts. So they've got a couple of sessions in the first semester where the students need to find out that it's all UK students actually, that course. They need to find out more about primary education in different countries. So we help them recruit the international students as experts, and they attend sessions as part of the course. This collaboration works really well for the students because of the prolonged engagement that they get, and very often the UK students who've been involved in it then become regular participants in our other activities. The applied physiotherapy, that I'm not sure how the course changed quite significantly because they had a really large intake of international students, predominantly Indian, and then obviously 3 years ago, with the market changes, they're not recruiting as many international students as part of this course. But what they did in the course is internationalize the content and the assessment. So instead of being purely UK based, the content of the course, there was a visit to India by one of the academics working on the course, and as a result they changed the way the students are assessed and the subject matter of some of the assessments. Do you want to say a little bit more about that?
I think it was simply to actually take out some of the things that were, in a way, quite Eurocentric about the approach to physiotherapy, and recognising that there are different ways of delivering physiotherapy in different cultural contexts, but also, I think quite importantly, recognition that the institutions in which physiotherapists work are very different, and that the hierarchical organisation of a hospital or environment or a medical environment in India is quite entrenched, whereas in the UK, when we're preparing people for physiotherapy work, they're normally working in teams, and they're part of a team, and so that the kind of course had to reflect different outcomes, different employment settings, and very often we're actually preparing people for work in the UK, and that isn't necessarily the best employability outlook for any student, really. They need to find themselves aware of and capable of working in a global context.
Yeah. So in some of these examples, as you have seen, it's more about academics rethinking the way they deliver the course, or the course content, and internationalizing that. And in other cases, it's more about enabling students to work together with students of other nationalities, other cultures, to put them on the way of developing the global outlook and the global skills they need. So the examples are very diverse. For an institution of this size, we want a lot more. I'm really hoping that there are examples and work going on that I'm not aware about. But if you are keen to implement something similar, particularly the approach where international students are used as experts or contributors as part of your course, please get in touch. We'd love to help and involve more students in your work. The next section of my presentation will be about the work that International Student Support does to change the attitude, or to help UK students start developing more interest in engaging with other cultures and becoming more globally competent. We've designed a range of projects which are promoted under the umbrella Go Global. You've seen it everywhere in the university if you've seen the plasma screens. And we've got three main messages as part of Go Global. One is about get engaged, make friends for life. The other one is about get prepared for studying or working abroad. And the third message always escapes me, but you'll see it in a minute when I show you the slides. As part of the Go Global range of projects, we run a mentoring project called Culture Connect, and it is about providing an opportunity for incoming students to work with a more experienced student and discuss ways to settle in more quickly, and the way the city and the university works. Something's gone to my throat. The Culture Connect mentoring scheme started last year with a pilot. We had 48 students. Just to give you an idea of how much interest we have in the scheme, we have now 150 students and growing. So I do apologize. Also, an interesting fact to share is that the biggest nationality of students involved in this scheme are British students. So we've got 50 British students who want to be mentors. Now, obviously we've set up the scheme because we wanted to support international students to be better integrated, but we also wanted to encourage more British students to be involved, and I think we're doing quite well. We want to encourage more to come our way. So again, in your line of work, keep encouraging students to join in, especially if they're UK students and they're looking to develop their skills. This is what one of the British students said. Actually, I'll leave you to read it. He wants to contact all the local media, and he wants to go to the radio and talk about that. But this is where we're doing the scheme. There's the third message. Be the first to find out about social events. Go Global is about encouraging students to belong to our global community on campus. So as I said, we've got these three main messages, and we want to promote the scheme widely to all students, not just international, all students. It's run via a Facebook group. We currently have about 2,000 students signed up on it. The majority are international, but we do have some British students on it. But what we want to enable is for the interaction to happen without our control that much, and we see that happening. So students are setting up events themselves, getting together, doing stuff. Obviously, we are organising some of it too, and we are. The main messages that we are responsible on the group are about UK students and how they can develop their global skills and a bigger interest in things international. So we do have a special blog. Where's the blog? Hugo Global blog, where we share opportunities and information for Sheffield Hallam-based students, but the majority of the opportunities are for UK students to go abroad for a short exchange, either study exchange or work placement. So we offer them information about funding, we offer them information about schemes, and we also offer information about past successful students who've been and about their experience. All this content is shared in the Facebook group, so everybody gets to find out about it. And we're just about to launch a competition. It will be called the Hugo Global Competition, not surprisingly. And it will be, we'll be looking to find out about our students' successful ventures into things international. So for UK students, it would be about going abroad on a study exchange or a work placement or volunteering exchange and writing about it. For the students who are here, UK and international, it would be about how they manage to develop global skills while they're studying at Sheffield Hallam. It will be a blogging competition. The deadline, well, the prizes will be given in July next year. We don't know what interest there will be, but we're hoping to, in a way, to start this snowballing effect when you actually have some, tentative steps, some students trying it out, and then actually saying, well, this was great, and getting more and more students involved in that way. I need to stop talking, because my voice will give in any minute now. And also, obviously, we do need some time for a discussion. So these are the questions I wanted to put to you. And just to sum up, in order for integration to work on campus, we do need both parties to be willing to take part and to have, to be aware of the benefits of integration. And so far, we've invested heavily into helping international students, not done that much for British students. What can we do better together for all students? Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions for Kristen before
saying on one of the courses that I think it was MSc International Hospitality or BSc International Hospitality. So they recruit experts from the student community. Is that from within their course, within the MSc or the BSc?
Yeah, it depends on what cultural festival they've come up with. So if they've got that nationality on their course, then they will work together. If they haven't got it, we normally help them advertise to the rest of the international student community, so they find.
I was just wondering how that works. Yeah, how do you get in touch with somebody else, and then for them to give the time when they're sort of busy students to give the time up to something else that they're not. It's not. The benefit is to interact.
There's something about international students. International students love to talk about their culture, their countries and their culture. They love to be acknowledged that they can contribute in some way to the university community. And that's why when we have Shoefest, the majority of the participants are actually international students. We do have British students and staff, of course. But so in answer to what you said, yeah, they are very busy, but you always get one or two who are willing to contribute, go and talk about how they celebrate the Russian Muslims festival and what they do, and it's always worked until now.
The students that came forward for Culture Connect, were they from particular courses or a wide range, or I mean, because what I'm aware of here is that we've got a lot of people who are teaching English as a second language, academic practice and so on. And often the students, in my experience, that engage with that are language students. Is that the case?
I have to be honest, I don't know, because I haven't looked at the course kind of distribution. What I know is that the British students are particularly interested because it's one of the few activities that we run eligible for the Hallam Award. So they become mentors because they can then apply for the Hallam Award for the mentoring. The other fact that I know is that last year's mentee and mentors want to continue. So that's why the scheme expanded so much. So they continue. So all the mentors and mentees from last year are now continuing as mentors. I can look at the course distribution. The language students and the outgoing Erasmus students, we are targeting them with requests for help and to become involved. The language students helped us organise a British cultural celebration at the start of end of November, and this is actually for the first year. We've done this because we normally have these cultural festivals where when the international students arrive, and we had an Omani cultural festival, which was really good. It was a fashion show, and we had an Indonesian event, and we've never had a British cultural event. And this year we just thought, well, why not? Let's just get some British students, see whether they can organise it. And the turnout was great. The Language Society, language students helped us with some of our long-standing British volunteers. And there were about 100 students turned up to see a mock-up kind of version of a red telephone booth, and to take pictures of themselves in it. Obviously there were other things that they were doing as part of the cultural evening. But yeah.
Does anyone have any thoughts on the questions that have been raised then? Would like to say something about what they're doing?
The final year language students are also helping out as student support tutors to the top-up students as well. Project
Yeah.
and that works really well.
Yeah.
The students, I was just talking to some of the international students this week in the student voice meetings, and they were really enthusiastic about it.
Yes.
This is on the top-up international
International
management.
Yes, I think that generally students who are involved are very grateful for the opportunity, and I'm talking about UK students are really grateful, and they see the benefits immediately. It's this initial impetus that's lacking in some courses. Obviously, in other courses it's easier. If you're doing a language course, it's a lot easier to promote the benefit of being involved in intercultural exchange. If you're just doing, I don't know, I'm generalizing here, but if you're doing law or if you're doing nursing, well, I see the benefits straight away, but selling it to the student and asking them to do extracurricular work, it doesn't, if I try to do that, it's not as powerful, as strong as if the lecturer or the academic teaching those students is saying you have to absolutely do this because X, Y, and Z. But having said that, the Hugo Goldberg campaign is having a positive impact. It really is having a positive impact. We do see more international and UK students being involved in our work, obviously through the Facebook membership, but also through the events that we run. We do see more UK students, but it's just the tip of the iceberg.
Do you think combining the student union and the international student activities has actually worked? Are you going to do a study to see how that's actually worked later on, or has that actually made a difference?
What we did is combine the way we promote the activities.
Yeah.
The activities themselves are still separate.
Yeah.
So we run our program, and the student union run their program, and the way that it's promoted to students is in one publication, which is good for us because all students, if they read that leaflet, will find out about our events. In terms of numbers of UK students joining in as a result of that publication, it's still early days, very few. So
I did a question and answer session with the student union the other day when they do the course reps training, and was pleasantly surprised that about a third of the people there were international students, and they were very, very eloquent about both the good aspects of Hallam and the less good aspects, and they actually were sort of, I would say, showed up, some of the UK reps. I mean, you could argue they're paying a bit more and they're a bit more engaged, but several of them have been in different educational systems such as Australia or France or the USA, and it felt a lot better that they were there than last year.
That's what Chrissy was saying, wasn't it? They've got this sophistication and they are interculturally skilled, so they're quite intimidating sometimes for UK students. That's apart from the comfort zone issue and the sense that actually, why should I? Why do I need to do that? I think that's, if we're dealing with 18-year-old boys on a sports course or something, I know it seems obvious that sport's an international issue, but I don't think we really do need to present it differently, and I think the whole thing about social activities, festivals, is all very well, but it's very superficial, isn't it? And what we're looking for, as you said earlier, is in the beginning of the talk, is that it's got to be so much more embedded in the university's curriculum, actually, that we have an international outlook, that we are preparing graduates for an international context. One of the things I remember when you were talking about just now, the occupational therapist I talked to, very aware that the way that the profession is changing involves in a lot more kind of outreach work and a lot more variety of work in occupational therapy, and so they're working in rehabilitation with people in community centres and therefore encountering people of extraordinary cultural diversity and linguistic diversity, and their training has to actually take account of that. And they are doing that, but again, it would be a fantastic preparation to be able to engage with international students.
I think one some of you came to my session about the supporting Chinese students last week, and we talked there about that if something isn't in their kind of curriculum, in their program, in their schedule, they don't engage with it. And I think the same applies for UK students to some extent, because they know that they need those skills, whether they're going to be sports coaches or occupational health therapists. They know that they need to be able to function in a multicultural environment, and yet they don't do that much to develop the skills, and that's why we go down to the course program and the content. Should there be more in there to really hone in on how much the students should be doing while they're at university as part of the course and outside the course to develop those skills? Whose job is it to get that message to the students?
I was thinking so we talk about internationalising home students, really, because I think that's the thing that we're trying to do. The international students are already internationalised by coming here. But also the activities and things that happen are include alcohol to a great degree. And I do think that sometimes this puts the international students off, especially when they've sort of experienced the first few weeks of being here. Mm-hmm. And they say, well, I went to the first few and I'm not going to any others. And I wonder if there could be some things which aren't alcohol based.
Can I just specify that none
Please.
of our activities
No,
include,
I'm not.
that's the student union and maybe kind of student
So
socials that
if
they
there could be
run.
something
Yeah.
together,
Yeah.
because alcohol is a big problem.
Yes.
It is something that we think about in the Students'
Yeah.
Union as well.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the activities that we offer are alcohol free or kind of have alternatives.
Yeah.
It's the first thing that comes to your head, isn't it?
You see,
in
I
terms of
wonder, because
internationalising.
they don't know this, they go to the first couple
Possibly,
of party binges.
possibly.
If on your advertising you put that no alcohol at the event, after party at wherever, so you're not putting anybody off, you're including the people who want to drink, but the people who want to participate without alcohol.
Yeah.
So just on the end of something, I think that would make a big difference.
Good point.
Part of it is also perception rather than
Yes,
reality.
well after the
because
first couple of weeks, that's
Yeah.
what they've taken
Yeah.
at home with them, sort of.
But we're also talking about how the learning experience in the classroom can be transformed, and some of the examples that you gave are, I mean, they're basic, they're very basic and simple, the sort of interventions that people have made, but it really, students value things like the Hallam Award, then they want some kind of credit for engaging in this stuff, in volunteering activities. But equally, if it's not valued in the actual core of the course and the content of the curriculum, then the message is very clear, isn't it? It's not actually something that we value. And that goes for the way in which staff, teachers interact with the students in their group as well. We've had some quite interesting research findings in the university where people have observed sessions where the eye contact with Chinese students is minimal. So it's like they're invisible, even to the teacher. And if they're invisible in that sense, then they become invisible to the other students as well. And we need to be aware of these kinds of things.
I have to persuade the winner of the Mentor Award to do a screencast or at least appear and do presentations for other UK students.
Yeah.
To say, what they got out of it and why it's worth doing.
Oh yes, and we will do a lot of that, and it already is there. So the Culture Connect Mentoring School has got a Facebook group. So if you just Google it, you'll find it, and there are snippets of filmed interviews with students, and there's a lot. I mean, it's promoted really heavily.
Is there a chance of a live event, do you think?
A live event, yes, there is, because in January, week commencing 26th of January, we'll have a week called Go Global Week. And as part of the Go Global Week, we will have 2 sessions about Culture Connect. One is just a celebration of the community of students who are taking part. The other one is about how to become a mentor. So we'll be recruiting mentors at the event. The program is just being finalised, but it will be what it says on the tin. So there will be sessions for international students about staying in the UK or going elsewhere to work, and sessions for UK students around Erasmus, study exchange. We're also hoping to get some of the returning students to have a session about sharing their experiences. It's going to be fairly low key, but it's the first one, so if it is successful and there is interest, then we'll continue growing it.
Because it
Yeah.
seems like you're doing loads of things and responding really well, I have to say.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, we are keen to really scale up everything we do. As I said, keep encouraging students.
It's bringing the horse to the water, isn't it?
Quick question. You mentioned earlier that there's a recognition now that you need to help the UK-based students as well as
Yes.
the overseas. What specifically are you doing to actually assist the UK students to almost get out of their comfort zone a little bit?
Okay. Should go global. So we are trying to encourage them to join in. Anything that we organised previously was advertised only to international students. Now, last year we had some focus groups for students. They came up with this title, this campaign, that was UK and international students, not just international. And so we are encouraging students to just initially become a member of the community, start reading up, start joining events. They're not necessarily all about kind of fun activities. Some are about students doing research as part of their dissertations, and some are about, you know, getting together to discuss a charity event. So it's a wide range of things. Some are sporting events. That's
So the reason I ask, I'm sure it'll be similar across other courses. A lot of our students have come from the local region.
Yeah.
For a lot of them, they're the kind of the first generation that have come to university from kind of old mining communities, and actually just coming to Sheffield.
Yeah.
For them, it's this massive thing. And then we're currently now working with the second years that were a 6-week placement. To actually get them to consider a placement outside of Sheffield seems incredible. And we've had all these different options that, you know, they can go around the world and this, that, and the other, these placements. No, I just want to stay here.
Yeah.
You know, they can't even see themselves ever working or doing anything else. They say, well, what's the point of me going to Tanzania or Sri Lanka or South Africa or America or whatever? And, you know, I'm probably just going to get a job locally at the local sports centre, which is a kind of really sad place to be.
Yeah.
But that's the reality where an awful lot of students unfortunately seem to be.
What we have done previously, and to be honest, I'm not sure how effective it is, but we have offered, and academics have taken the offer, and we would go as members of the International Student Support Team with some students, and we'll do a cultural awareness session. So we'll talk about, you know.
So I don't think it's a case of awareness. I just think it's more of a case of giving them the confidence to get out of the comfort zone and actually having a vision that they are that part
Yeah,
of the global
I was going to
community.
get to the point that I don't think that's very effective, but I think where we could make a difference is if you as an academic have a session where we can come and co-deliver with you. I am the International Student Support Manager. They are a UK student from Barnsley. They immediately think, why is she talking to me? And you know, half of the content that I am able to deliver, they'll just ignore because there's no imperative for anybody to listen to me. Whereas they listen to you. Well, they should listen to you.
Yeah, I would have thought the solution for a course like yours would be for all students to go abroad together for a couple of weeks or 3 weeks. On a, you know,
Some have.
Yeah,
That's,
yeah,
they've embraced the
but
challenges and they
they're
come
all,
back and
so it's actually part of the.
we tell everybody else how fantastic it is and the experience and everything else, but others. For example, I had a lad I personally sorted his placement out in Sri Lanka. He wanted to go out there and he was working for a charity and coaching cricket.
Yeah.
Got to the place, he wasn't happy with the accommodation, put him up in his own villa, overlooking the sea. He was there 3 days and came home. It was too hot. He didn't think it'd be hot like that. And just homesick, didn't like it, didn't want to be involved, out of his comfort zone.
3 days.
Well, you
3
see,
days.
I did
That was it.
recently I did a session with the outgoing Erasmus students in SBS about culture shock and a little bit about kind of intercultural skills, but mainly about culture shock and what will happen when you go abroad for a longer kind of extended period, what is likely to happen. And yes, it's likely that in the first 3 weeks you're going to hate it and then it will get better. Whether that will have an impact, I don't know.
I had numerous tutorials with him explaining this all beforehand. When he was out there, I happened to have a number of friends out in Sri Lanka and got them to go and visit him and check he was okay and talk him through it and all the rest of it. It was just too far out of his comfort zone.
There's some interesting work that's been done by a woman called Viv Caruana at Leeds Met about the relationship between this kind of activity and the generation of resilience.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, that there is a sense in which a lot of our students, you know, however limited their horizons, also have never really had to face these kinds of challenges in their lives, and they don't want to. And so, you know, it's a bit like kind of, well, you're going to have to.
Yeah.
And maybe it is the stick thing, you know, we're offering carrots and support, but I think we do need to tell them that, you know, unless they have that kind of thing on their CV, they're actually going to stay put in, and maybe they're quite happy with that. I suppose that's the problem, that they don't have aspirations to. But, you know, job security, jobs at all, you know, you're going to have some quite wide-ranging skills and capacities to survive in a competitive employment environment in the future. And, you know, the alternative is poverty and waste. It's just horrible.
Just to go
Tell them that.
Poverty and waste has happened. I would then insist everybody who's going on an international placement to have a mentor as part of Culture Connect. Because if that student had worked with a Sri Lankan mentor, he wouldn't have, I don't think he would have come back. You know, if he had any idea what the country is like and how hot it is and the issues that he might have, and
We wouldn't have gone at all.
No.
well, who knows?
somebody
Maybe
else
he
could have
would,
done.
but then he wouldn't have wasted the opportunity for somebody else to go.
Would there be a possibility of sending more than one student so they can help each other deal with problems?
Yeah.
Rather than sending one, there's always going to be a problem, isn't there?
Well, this one just came purely out of a personal contact. He was looking for this cricket coaching opportunity. I spent a lot of time on it. So
Yeah.
So they couldn't have two
so
or three
they
people?
could have done, yeah. They took on lots of volunteers, but there's nobody else on his course.
Oh, yeah.
So that's good.
Is there any way of your students engaging with like international sporting opportunities in the UK, so they could get a kind of experience of working internationally, but with people coming over for whatever, Tour de France or?
It's something that we've talked about, and it's one of the many things that seem to be on this university. We've got some fantastic kind of partnerships and connections, and lots of little projects going on here, there, and everywhere. But nothing seems to be really kind of coherently pulled together, and that's easy for people to kind of step into. So in an ideal world, yes.
Yeah. It would give them the kind of the confidence to be internationalised without having to leave Sheffield.
As you say, there's loads of examples of small groups, and you know, like your Tanzanian project, the Olympics project. There's the Chinese interns going in SBS. There's loads of examples of small scale stuff, but there's nothing apart from what you're doing, which is pulling that all together. So it doesn't have the critical mass. It doesn't have the administrative support or any sort of, you know, things like bursaries actually, you know, might help some students to think about. Because financial barriers are an issue for a lot of students. Both, you know, we did some research to show that here, but it's also nationally clear that that's an issue. Okay, I'm going to have to bring the session to a close, and I think once again we've had a really interesting discussion. Thank you for coming. Keep engaged. I'll put this up on the blog. Tell your friends, and we'll hopefully have something going on in January and in February. February event, I think, is going to be on Thursday the 8th of February or something, or 6th, I can't remember the exact date. And we might be trying to run that, the January session at Collegiate